Hello Internet, it's Noel and thanks for stopping by my little corner of YouTube. Now today I'm going to be continuing with my review of the Focusrite 2i2 Studio Generation 3 bundle review series. That's a lot to say. This is the last part and I'm going to be taking a look at these. These are the HP60 Mark III Scarlett Studio headphones. Okay, so these are the Focusrite HP60 Mark IIIs, and these are the headphones that are included in the 2i2 Studio bundle. So let's just take a quick look at the specifications then. They're a closed back headphone with 50mm drivers. They have an impedance of 32 ohms and a sensitivity of 98 decibels, which should make them fairly easy to drive on pretty much anything. They have a frequency response of 20 Hz to 20 kHz and a max power rating of 1.2 watts. They weigh 288 grams and they have a 3-meter non-removable cable which terminates in a 3.5mm jack with a screw-on 1/4-inch adapter. Okay, so now I'm going to take a look at building comfort. So the first thing to look at is the headband. It's kind of a leatherette headband with the Scarlett logo embossed on the top, which I think looks quite nice. It's also fairly nicely padded on the inside, and I find this headband to be pretty comfortable. The headband has a sort of M30X or MDR 7506 style adjustment on the side. It has markings to indicate how far it's been adjusted, but there's no ratcheting. It just sort of slides with friction, and that's it. The earpads have minimal lateral movement, but they do have a fair bit of vertical movement and can be flipped all the way around DJ style. And the back of the ear cups is a sort of brushed metallic finish with the Scarlett Studio logo on the side. The earpads, they're not especially comfortable, but they're about what I've come to expect from small studio monitoring headphones like this. They're fairly small when it comes to the ear openings. They're not especially deep, but they are fairly reasonably padded. I don't find them particularly comfortable for long listening sessions. However, the clamping force isn't that high, so it's not too bad. It's not as bad as some headphones I've used before. And unfortunately, the cable is non-removable, and it is a really long 3-meter cable. I find that it kinks really easy, it tangles really easy. It's not the nicest cable going. However, it does terminate in a 3.5mm connection with a screw-on 1/4-inch adapter. Overall then, build quality is surprisingly decent and about par for the course for a studio monitor headphone of this sort of style. Now, one complaint that I do have is that they're not foldable in any way, which you might think is not a problem for a studio monitor headphone, but I would imagine that this bundle is aimed more at people like students who are just getting their first gear. Maybe they're going to college to do media or music, and perhaps they would need a decent pair of headphones to take with them. So having a foldable and thus more portable headphone would be a lot more suited to them. Onto the sound then, they sound pretty neutral to me. There's a good bit of punch in the bass where it's needed, but it's not bloated. There's a fair amount of clarity and detail, especially in the vocal ranges. There's a decent amount of instrument separation and imaging and soundstage. I mean, they're not the most open headphones I've ever heard, but for a small closed headphone like this, I expected a really cramped soundstage, but actually they weren't so bad. Okay, so I thought I would measure these headphones using my mini DSP ears. And just a quick disclaimer, the mini DSP ears are not an industry standard measuring rig, but they also don't cost $20,000. This was tested in less than ideal conditions, but the mini DSP ears are good for comparative measurements. And seeing as I haven't seen any frequency measurements for the HP60 Mark IIIs anywhere else, these are probably the only frequency charts that are out there at the moment. So this graph here is averaged and compensated using Mini DSP's HPN compensation curve. And this compensation curve is quite similar to some of the other compensation curves you might see out there. And as you can see, it actually looks pretty flat. Now, I don't find this particular curve that interesting, so I'll show you the other one. Right, so this one is based on Mini DSP's headphone EQ curve, And this one is based on the Harman curve. In theory, any headphone that meets the Harman target curve should measure completely flat on this graph. And as you can see, this one actually does a really good job. Bass is a little bit recessed, and low mid's a little bit recessed below the neutral line. But actually, on the whole, it's not that far out from neutral. And again, even in the treble, it's not too spiky anywhere. We've got a few dips. Now, this dip here at around 4.5K, I don't actually know whether this is a real thing with this headphone or not. It probably is, but it might not be quite as extreme. Now, the Mini DSP ears does have some little bits of weirdness that happens around this area sometimes, so just take this with a pinch of salt. So now I've overlaid the Sennheiser HD650 or 6XX, and as you can see with the 6XX, it's quite flat throughout most of the mid and lower upper ranges. And the HD650 is really a great reference point. So comparing the HP60 to the HD650, you can see that the HP60 does a really good job and is really quite neutral throughout most of its frequency response. So now I've brought in the M40X. Now I just want to say that both the M40X, the M50X, and the HP60 Mark III and any other studio monitoring headphone with small ear pads such as that will be actually quite difficult to measure on the Mini DSP ears. And that's really because the ear pads on these types of headphones are really quite cramped, and getting a good tight fit on the Mini DSP ears and making sure that the ear pads are sealed is very difficult. Now, comparing the HP60 Mark III with the M40X, I actually think that it does a much better job than the M40X. It has better bass extension in the sub bass, it's not emphasized in the upper bass or low mid frequencies, and it does sound less boomy than the M40X. But interestingly, when you look at these two frequency charts overlaid on top of each other, they're almost a mirror image of each other. Now, like I said, take these frequency charts with a grain of salt, but I just thought I'd show them, seeing as I had the ability to measure them. Now, overall, I'm pretty impressed with the sound signature from these headphones. I was kind of expecting them to be a kind of cheap throwaway pair that you use just until you get something better, but actually they're not bad in their own right. They kind of sound exactly how I would expect a monitoring headphone like this to sound. So who is this headphone for? Well, I expect this bundle is aimed at students, such as music and media students who haven't yet got their own gear and they're just starting out. And maybe it's also for people who are new to the world of recording, who may have headphones already but don't really have anything suitable for monitoring or light production duties. And for those people, I think this bundle looks like great value. Overall then, I'm really impressed with the HP60 Mark III. Now, we've already discussed how good value the CM25 Mark III microphone is, and if you haven't seen the review of this microphone, if you click up here, there'll be a link to take you through to that review. And by my reckoning, this microphone is on a similar kind of level to the Audio-Technica AT2020, and that microphone would cost you £80 in the UK. Now, the Scarlett 2i2 interface would cost you £150 by itself. And if you haven't seen my review of the Scarlett 2i2 Gen 3, if you click up here, there'll be a link that takes you through to that review. So if the interface is worth 150 and the mic is worth around 80, that's about 230, which is what I paid for the bundle. And that kind of means that you're getting the headphones for free. And these are certainly the best pair of headphones I've ever gotten for free. But seriously though, I expect their overall quality lands somewhere around the similar level to the Audio-Technica ATH M30X. So it's probably a headphone worth around £40. So all in then, if you include the £5 or £10 that it would cost you to buy an XLR cable, £40 for a pair of headphones, £80 for a microphone, and £150 for the audio interface, you're looking at around £280 worth of equipment for the price of £230. And that's before we even consider the software bundle that's included with this. You're getting intro versions of Ableton Live, of Pro Tools, as well as a whole host of plugins and virtual instruments. If you're just starting out on your journey to recording audio, or are just getting back into it and are starting out with nothing, this bundle is an absolute steal. So that's about it then. That wraps up my review series for the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 Studio Bundle. If you haven't seen all the videos in this series, if you click up here, there'll be a link that takes you through to the playlist with all of the videos. And I'll also have a card at the end of this video for links to some of my other reviews into audio interfaces. Now, if you like this content, then please do give me the thumbs up and subscribe. I'll have more content like this soon. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, have a good one.